Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome, friends. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, listeners.
Hi.
Welcome, Sips.
Hi.
Welcome, P-Flax. Welcome, P-Flax's wife.
What?
And dog, if you're listening.
Okay.
Why my wife and dog?
Welcome,
Sure.
Sips' wife and dog.
She listens. Is she still an avid listener of the podcast?
No, she stopped.
She gave up.
Well,
I mean, she'd listened to like 100
Got
episodes.
too fucking real. That's why, right? She just
Once we started talking about street fighting woman, she was like, "They're talking about me on the podcast again. This is unacceptable."
Yeah.
No, she stopped commuting because of COVID.
Oh.
And she set herself a goal. She found this thing. It was a list of 1,000 albums that were considered like the best
those are
albums.
fun.
And
Yeah, I like doing those.
And she's been
Wow,
working her way
that's
through them.
cool.
She's up to the 1970s. She's about, I think she said, obviously you've got the whole of the 80s, the whole of the 90s, the noughties, and the 2010s. So she's got 4 decades still to go. She was like, I am about a third of the way through. I'm getting through it. I was like, yeah, but love, this is going to take you into the new year. Like, this is so much listening. So
it's good.
She was
It's
kind
a
of
good project.
Yeah, I know, but she was kind of down.
I like how you're trying to put her off.
No. My point was, she was like, yeah, I'm almost
This is a
through
lot of
it.
things to listen to. I'm not sure you're up for it. You know, your ears will fall
I think
off.
it's going to get tough in like this sort of like 2000s onwards because I'm not sure that like, I'm
Bewitched,
sure that albums were
Steps,
reviewed well too, but
Robbie Williams.
it feels like a couple of decades of like singles, right? Like, and not so much focus on albums.
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
The Cardigans. There's a load of good stuff actually in 2000. The Strokes. So
The Strokes, that's it. Yeah, there's a
That's
couple
a
of good
decade.
bands in the
There's a
2000s.
decade.
The Strokes. Okay, anyway, moving
Green
on.
Day. Anyway,
Green Day, a big 2000s band. Yeah.
they started in the 90s.
Limp Bizkit. So maybe my music tastes a bit 90s. Can you get her to do like a little 1-sentence review of each album that she
No.
listens to and keep a
Oh
track?
my
So I
God.
would love to
That
have
would
an
not
insight.
be great, actually.
She's
So what
already
she thinks.
33% of the way through.
Yeah, just leave her
But
to it.
she skipped all the 60s. Who cares?
No,
Do you know what I
she
mean? I'm not
didn't.
worried
She
about
No,
that.
listened
you
to it.
can't skip the 60s. The 60s were such an important decade for
Musical
music.
time.
Yep, for sure.
Like what? Like Elvis. What was in the 60s?
The
What
Beatles.
was in the 60s?
Oh, the Beatles.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's huge.
The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, all of those bands, I mean, like a huge
And then the
number
setup
of
for all the big
influential
bands of the 70s as well,
Yeah,
right?
the 60s was massive.
Is it like watching the first episode of Star Wars? Do you know what I mean? In your canonical, is it like reading Lord of the Rings to set you up for the Wheel of Time or whatever? The next big
I
fantasy.
think it's just the decade. I feel like the 70s were harder music wise, right? Like it was, after you had like the sort of love of the 60s, the hippies and drugs and stuff. Everything just sort of got stripped down to its bare bones, and it was just more drugs and
Even harder drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
was-
then harder drugs, and then therefore maybe harder music as well. It wasn't.
I
as
feel like the
fluffy.
70s, obviously, you had prog rock was a big thing.
Yeah, the end of the 70s, you had like punk and stuff.
Is that
as
leather
well.
jackets? Oh, yeah, leather jackets into leather jackets with studs and mohawks.
Yeah.
And then everyone just went all brown.
Yeah,
I mean, you had the start of metal started really
Pretty
in the
much.
70s. And
Yeah.
then in the 80s, you had like hair metal and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff and really heavy metal in the 70s and 80s. I mean, then into the 90s is when the late 80s should be like the birth of early rap music.
Well, the late 80s was the birth of sort of like alternative as well, right? Because I think you had all the hairspray bands that people were sick of, and that
Right.
sort of ushered in your Soundgardens, Nirvanas,
Right.
and whatnot. And it was like that sort of like anti that, right?
It was,
like the
yeah.
late 80s DIY sort of punk stuff, everything as
And then
well.
the birth of shoegazing and that kind of music.
Yes, yeah. Your
It's,
Radioheads
it's interesting
and-
how it transforms. But again, as I've said before, guitar-based music as a mainstream thing that loads of people listen to is dead. Sadly, it's all mumble rap and dance music. At the moment
It's not.
these days.
It can't be all that bad. But I mean,
it is that bad.
The problem is we're older, and there's you get stuck in, you get locked into like what you listen to. in a lot of ways, unless you're really into music and you're like a critic or like somebody who reviews music and listens to a lot of music and subjects themselves to a lot of different music or whatever. I think for the average person, you're locked into
weird.
what you listened to when you were
that's
in
not
your
my
teens.
point. My point is that stuff is not popular anymore.
But
That is not what the average person is listening to.
But a lot of that stuff wasn't like always that popular either. You just liked some of it, so it felt like it was popular. There was tons of stuff.
That U2, one of the most successful bands of all time, who are still fucking touring.
I'm not specifically
I spoke about this
saying
on stream
about
a few
U2.
times. Where is the replacement? Where is the next U2? Or even like bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that, who were massive. The guys doing this music are older than us.
Well, now,
this
they
is
are.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
This is good, right? That there aren't mega hits that are the only thing. You know, it's good that we don't have only got 3 TV channels anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to have a variety of choice so that you can pick what you want. I realise that has also, this whole variety of choice has also led to the disastrous echo chambers of flat earthers, and the climate deniers.
Sure.
But also think about how much choice you have. Like, look at my. I do the Discover Weekly on Spotify. I've been doing it for years, and I love listening to random.
He loves
shit.
his Discover Weekly. This guy.
He does, loves it. Is this? I listen to that on Spotify as well. I listen to the indie thing that chucks up new indie music, and sometimes there's some good stuff in there.
All right, well, tell me what name. Like, if you go into it now and tell me what your liked songs are. What you're like? What? So, like, for example, I liked a song yesterday called Power Snake.
Okay.
Nice.
Which is about like Jormungandr, the big worm in Nordic mythology, by a band called Emblas Saga, who only sing about like Norse metal rock. Right?
It's so different nowadays.
Mythology.
Though. Just coming back to what Flax
mental.
was saying, who's going to replace U2? It's the stage isn't the same as it was when U2 were at their absolute height. I'm sure they're still touring and stuff, and they're probably still as popular or whatever. But the world is just so different to when
you're right.
That
actually.
band was
People aren't
big.
listening to the radio, and like the way music is consumed is different.
Who was able to find the the worm god music? Like, it was impossible to find before you had these communities on the internet and the connectivity that we have now. You were at the mercy of like a fan magazine that you might be lucky enough to come across at some point or even know existed in the first place. Like, it was really hard to discover music, back then. And you were sort of spoon-fed what was destined to be big from like heavy radio play and stuff.
But nowadays, because of this, I mean, Pandora was the original way to like associate music with other music, right? Where you would find similar stuff, right? So you'd pick it. The whole point of Pandora back in the day was that you type in something you like, and it would throw up other things, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I do like these. It was kind of this much easier way to just it used to be that all these heavy metal bands had to have this indecipherable font, where you can't read what the fuck they're called, because you're like, oh, I like this metal band, maybe I'll like this one, and sometimes there was an opportunity to listen to it in the store or whatever, wear those big headphones, but mostly not, right? You had to kind of hear it somewhere, especially if you like niche music, you had to just rely on NME or some review site telling some, paper magazine telling you what was good, right?
Yeah.
And so but now my recommendations kind of lead me down, because I got to like Norse rock from kind of more like other because I'm listening to like a load of dwarven like mining songs and stuff, because the thing is, Diggy Hole is on my Spotify, right, just occasionally, and so that links into these other, because Windrose, who are that metal band, did the cover of that.
That popped up. There's loads of other YouTube recommendations.
There's loads of other dwarf kind of rockers. So there's like fantasy metal. So I've got like a band called Beast in Black.
There was that band that was on Eurovision that year as well. What are they called? Like Lordi or Loki?
Lordi. Exactly, yeah. And there's tons and tons and tons of these things. And
like,
I don't know whether
fantasy
some
metal.
of them.
I feel like Dragon Force are kind of like fantasy metal as well.
I don't know whether these are as much real bands as just a guy making music in like a fucking shack in like the frozen north of Malmö or somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, but again, it's different though. though. I mean, the tools available now, like digital tools that are available now, like feasibly one person can make.
Exactly. It's like Deliveroo.
The music that it used to take 3-4 people to make.
Like I ordered this burrito the other day from Deliveroo, and I realized they didn't even have like a location. They just it's just a guy's house, you know, that he just makes them, and you know, or they've got a little kitchen in there, and they only do it on Deliveroo now. So it's like stuff like that. Like this, you can have a metal band that seems like a really cool metal band with pictures of guys and stuff, but they maybe just stock artists, you know, maybe he's just
you might
hired
never
someone
see
on
them
Fiverr
live or whatever
to dress up and put makeup on. And you know, I think the internet is at a point where I could be like a huge fan of this metal band, but then find out that they don't exist. But it doesn't matter, because I guess the point is that I'm not a huge fan of them because I don't actually know their name. Weirdly, looking at this liked songs list, I obviously like these songs, and then instantly forget what the band's called and instantly forget what the name of the song is. And it's just in my list. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a weird time.
I think the era, that's kind of my point, is that the era of the big band and the big album is gone, isn't it? And it seems to be like, if you look at the artist, that seems to be the thing. And they have to be photogenic, and they have to be very good at social media. They have to be able to project an image. And I think that the 80s gave us that, and it's just lingered, in all honesty. Like, it's I feel very, very cynical about it all, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah, you're totally right.
It goes in cycles as well. Like, we'll probably do another sort of like, I don't know, like
purge.
Not purge, but
let's have a purge.
Like just like a shake up to the norm.
Just everything
sort of
on fire.
You know, like whatever. Because there's still so many big pop bands, like manufactured pop bands. There's lots of big singles that come out all the time that stay in the charts forever.
100% right. And especially in countries like Korea, where they are actually actively manufacturing these exportable hit, you know, music videos and sounds, you know, which are very catchy and very designed to tap into things that we've heard before, but are slightly different and appeal to like an audience, a specific audience. And also, like, I think SEO more than anything, you know, especially on Spotify, like, you know, these tracks need to sound similar enough and have a name that's similar enough that people will think, oh yeah, that sounds like the kind of music, that sounds like branding themselves. It's so important, more important than ever, in fact. You know, it must be very hard to kind of not to like break out. It's like on the Apple on Apple, you know, I was reading a Reddit thread where people were talking about, oh, you know, the best iOS games, but I feel like the iOS games are either languishing in obscurity or making billions, you know, because it's the same shit on there. It's balloons and the fucking Minecraft, and it's the same shit. I swear to God, Gardenscapes and all this shit that I looked at like fucking, you know, 5 years ago when I was on my phone looking at charts. It's all still the same shit. It's like, how do you break out on iOS unless you've got someone at Apple in your back pocket willing to, like, you know, put you up on the fucking featured games list? I don't know. It's like, it's so weird it's such a weird kind of, and every game on store has to be called something like fucking, you know, Battle Force of War, or do you know what I mean? Like,
none of those games are designed to actually be fun, which is kind of depressing.
A lot of the games also have to put like stupid shit in their title.
Yeah,
you know, you can often tell a game on Steam that's been ported from iOS because it will have some fucking iOS title. Do you know what I mean? It's like so weird.
I think I partially agree, Flax, with like what you're saying about the era of like the big band or whatever. I feel like it's probably unlikely that a band like U2 is gonna come around again, you know, like a couple of like mid-20 something guys with long hair and tight pants on that, you know, started playing songs in a pub or whatever and then conquered the world. Like I feel like probably those days are gone. I don't know, maybe there'll be like a resurgence or like some sort of comeback, but it's just been replaced with something different. But like the scale is bigger than ever, right? Like these a lot of these
like
manufactured
doing a mega concert.
A lot of these manufactured groups, like Lewis is saying, like in Korea or elsewhere across like the West and stuff like that, are just as big, if not bigger than they've ever been. Well, and like you still have the old big bands that are still making a killing, touring all the time. They still they're still out there touring and making a ton of money off of, sold out stadiums and merch and everything else. Like, I don't know. It's like
that Japanese pop star who's the fucking hologram. What's her name? Hatsune Miku. Do you know, she's actually manufactured, literally. She's a voice synthesis software that's got a fucking
like an
got
avatar.
a huge corporate company behind her doing literally concerts in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
It's mental. Anyway, I want to hear what's on your Spotify, P Flex.
I don't know how to find out.
You could click liked songs if you just got
go.
it up.
I don't tend to just like songs. I add them to a playlist.
I don't like songs.
No, I don't click like on anything. Who does that?
I don't know. I do, because it puts them in a.
I've got made for sips. I've got like daily mix 1, daily mix 2.
What's your made for? Because there'll be slightly different genres as well.
There'll be all sorts on here. Yeah. Okay. My daily mix 1 is there's a whole bunch of Creedence Clearwater Revival on it. The Beatles, Steely Dan, Marmalade, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks. Jimi Hendrix, George Harrison. I guess I just like listen to a lot of older music one day or whatever.
Very like rock. It's very rock. Old rock.
I don't really listen to a lot of this stuff. I think it's just probably taken 2 or 3 bands that I had listened to and then just sort of made recommendations off the back of those. Led Zeppelin.
My playlist that I've got is songs that I like, or like if I hear a song, let's say. I'm just letting Spotify play through the daily mix stuff, and I hear a song I really like, or I'm watching a TV show and it pops up, or it's in the background of a video, or I just remember it. Like my friends the other day sent me a song I hadn't heard in ages, which I stuck on my classics playlist, which is for older tunes that I would consider fit into. So this has got Crosby.
I thought you were going to say older gentlemen.
No, this has got Crosby, Stills and Nash, Steely Dan, Jerry Rafferty, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's even got a Dire Straits song on here, which 20 years ago I would have thought was impossible to happen. Pink Floyd. It's got Pearl Jam.
Wait,
on
what
here.
Dire Straits song
Fleetwood
is it? Because some are better than others for sure.
It's Money for Nothing. Which,
that's a pretty good song.
That was a pretty good one. But it's got like King Crimson and Heart and bands like that.
Yeah,
that's the old school stuff.
Very
right?
pure money.
Okay.
Pure song, isn't it? Money for
my
Nothing.
my daily mix 2 is so unbelievably different to my daily mix 1. It's just my daily mix 2 is all hip hop basically.
But you don't make your own list, is what I'm saying.
No, but it's just
but I'm amazed that Spotify understands that you love both country, folky, southern rock from the sort of late 60s, but also you like hip hop.
Yeah, and then you get to Daily Mix 5 and it's like the Beach Boys. What? It's all over the place.
The AI starts going like loopy.
You don't
at that
have
point.
like a playlist that you add songs to.
No,
you just let it play stuff.
I usually listen to I do like artist radio a lot. So like I'll listen to a song that I feel like listening to, and then I'll just do like radio from that song or radio on that artist, and then you get Spotify just feeds in stuff that is related to it or that other people have liked after listening to that or whatever. They have their algorithms or whatever, and usually it's pretty good. Sometimes I skip songs if if a song's not doing it for me or whatever, I'll just skip. But I don't find I've really discovered any new music through any of those. You know what I mean? Like I haven't heard anything that I've liked enough to be like, well, who's this? Maybe I should go listen to an album or whatever. Like the way I discover music is usually from reading about music. Like I'll read about a band that I'm into, and then it'll say, they were really heavily inspired by this other band or whatever.
Oh, so you don't mean new music, you mean music that's new to you.
Yeah. So, either way, music that's new to me or new music.
Both.
Like I rarely discover new music that I want to listen to, sort of thing. Like it's just
I listen to quite a lot of new music, and if I like it, I stick it on my playlist. And
right.
We're up to 128 songs now. That's on the main playlist. That if I'm driving somewhere and I want to guarantee that the songs that come on are ones I actually like, I stick that on.
Well, the thing
it's
about
a big
is
old mix. It's got all kinds of
driving
stuff.
music, very different to chilling music, very different to focusing music, very different to
I don't
playing Dota
play music
music
to focus. I can never do that. I can't.
Oh.
I have to have silence if I'm focusing.
Right.
And then music for if I'm doing something boring that I have to do, like driving.
I like music in the car for sure.
I always listen.
yeah.
Or podcasts in the car are good as well. That's a good time to listen to podcasts.
I don't know. I always found that podcasts it hard to make out in the car.
You just rack it up, mate. Rack it
anyway,
right up.
we're all different. I know some people was like, don't use Spotify, use some other thing and blah, blah, blah. And always, because, they always complain that the Spotify premium ads and stuff. But the thing is, like, for music on Spotify, obviously all the bands get paid. If you put a Spotify podcast on Spotify, we don't get any money from that. We only get money from ads. So that's why even if you have Spotify Premium, you still see ads on the podcasts, because that's the only way podcasts can monetize, right, on Spotify. But it comes through Spotify's platform, so it should be kind of organized by them. Anyway, I don't think Spotify make it clear that when you sign up to Premium, you still get ads in podcasts. Anyway, that's on them. But I just thought I'd let you know, because a few people have been complaining about that, and I'm sorry about it. But if you want to listen ad-free, we do have a Patreon where we put stuff, and we haven't been updating it very well, but we're going to make it better. And obviously, you can always listen on YouTube as well, where it will be YouTube ads.
Yeah.
So
just more
there's going to
ads
be
for
some
you.
ads.
Yeah, there will be ads,
but that's
unfortunately.
because
Nobody likes ads.
I think that's just how it works at the moment, and I'm sure it'll change and be different. And if you want us to use a different platform, fucking let us know. Like, just tell us.
Hell yeah.
Just complain.
Yeah.
We see your complaints, and we raise you. Please just keep complaining, because it helps us be better. I always look at complaints and I'm like, oh shit, I want to be better. That's generally my response to a user complaint directed at me.
Right.
And we do read Reddit and Twitter, and and if you make a comment, because someone will post on there'll be like one comment in reply to me tweeting out the new podcast, and it's a complaint, and I'm like, all right, okay. And it's like, we do see this stuff, and we do want to talk to you. So I think we might try and have some Q&As and stuff on the Patreon, and maybe do a special episode or something. Anyway, we're thinking about it, but since we're talking about Spotify, I thought I might as well chuck that in the middle of the podcast, so half the audience are not going to pay attention. But did you hear in the news this week, which I thought was interesting, was the Soviet chess champion who was suing Netflix over a single line of dialogue.
She's Georgian.
Really?
The Queen's Gambit.
And in this one line, the one line that said, so-and-so was a female player, but she never played against men. And she's livid that this slander has been
Well, she
allowed
got
to
mentioned,
persist.
you see.
Yeah, by name. They mentioned her by name.
Yeah, and they said she'd never played against men. Of course she had.
Yeah.
And so I think that it was obviously a part of a dramatic situation, but they could have just changed her name. Do you know what I mean? Beth Harmon wasn't a real chess player.
Right. And so the guys she was playing against weren't real either, were they? Like a lot of the names?
No, I don't think so. I think they did reference some big famous chess players, I'm sure, when they were talking about moves, and this is something Bobby Fischer did or whatever. But
right.
maybe they didn't even do that, because it was set back in the day before all of these quite a lot of the modern people are well known. So anyway, I don't know how you felt about that, but I thought it's quite funny, because we're obviously big fans of that show. I don't know whether you thought she had a point.
See, when I first started watching it, I thought that the whole thing was real for like the first, I don't know, like half of the first episode. I was like,
right.
I thought it was based on a real person, like everything, like, because I hadn't really read much about it and I didn't really know much about it, and I thought I heard somebody say that it was like, based on somebody, or so I just assumed that it was
right.
And then
but
when
it's obviously it's sort of set in an era when obviously that was a thing, when chess was
of course
played and everything.
I mean, it's not none of it's so far-fetched that it's like unbelievable, right? But then why use a real person's name dropped in the mix there? I don't know. I guess it just
it's not
sort
like
of
it adds authenticity for the casual Netflix viewer, because I hadn't heard of it. They could have, like you said, you didn't even know this was fictional.
Yeah.
So why use a real name? Because it's not like you're going, they didn't even reference so-and-so. This doesn't seem realistic at all. It's like, I don't know any of these players' names.
Yeah.
So they could have just made a name up. So I think her point is, if you're going to put me in there, you've at least got to fucking be accurate. And I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I wonder whether it's just the case, though, of some writer or someone along the line. Because it was obviously the whole thing was based off this book by Walter Tevis, who was this science fiction writer who did a lot of other stuff. But I read a couple of his books recently, interestingly, because I got them cheap in a local bookshop. And I thought it was pretty good. And I wonder whether he had just had that line in his book, or someone had read it somewhere on the internet and not fact checked it. But I wonder how many. I think you have a duty of fact checking if you are going to put real people in it, you know. But yeah, I can see how they could slip through the net and upset people, you know, because it's just obviously just a throwaway line, isn't it? But it does sort of establish her as this standout sort of character, right? That she's unique or special or, you know, different or somehow, you know. So that is, you know, the first one. When it kind of, because she's fictional, it kind of does belittle. I think the danger of, I guess, the Queen's Gambit is that a lot of audience will think this is real, and a real biography of a real person is kind of usurping the achievements of this Russian Nona Gaprindashvili, who's not actually Russian. She's Georgian, right. But she was even. I think that's what she's also unhappy with. You know, they called her Russian, and right. I think if you're Georgian, that's a bit of a problem. Yeah. Although I guess at the time, you know, it was all part of, you know, the USSR, right? So it was probably, you know, what did they prefer to call her, a Soviet? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they would have been, right?
She's Georgian though, like, and she was angry about the fact that they said that she was Russian. She was like, "I'm not Russian, I'm Georgian." So I think it's a bit like maybe if you said someone was English and they were Scottish, maybe it's a similar kind of thing where they go, "How dare you?" You know,
they should have said British instead. Yeah, I could see how this stuff happens. It's just laziness or rushing or a lack of care, but you know, obviously it's upset her, and you know, what other effects has it had?
I don't think she's asking for $5 million though, or something like that. I'm thinking, you know, I don't think that there's been a loss of earnings to the tune of $5 million.
Is Georgia one of these places though where you have to negotiate really hard for everything?
You think it's like a haggling thing?
Yeah.
What? We start at $5 million for this slander about my clients just playing history, and maybe we negotiate. Okay, how about we apologize? $6 million. No.
Oh man.
I love that. I think that is how it works. I love those shows where you do see someone in one of these marketplaces in Morocco or wherever, where it's just the market stall people literally are excited for the haggly bits of the day, you know, and they get very disappointed. They almost like, if you don't want to haggle, they're like, no, we haggle now. We haggle. I'm not going to charge you that much.
I thought it would be really fun to haggle when I was in Egypt in like 2005. And we got a taxi from like the city to this other part of the city. And we were like, oh, okay, this is going to be great. We're going to haggle the price. Like there's no set price or whatever. And the guy was just like, he knew that we were just incapable of haggling, and was just like, he would not budge. And like, I didn't know how to make him budge. I was like, come on, we'll give you like 20. He's like, no. Like, and he was getting annoyed as well. You could tell, like, he was just,
that's the tactic.
He was super annoyed. But I don't know how to play the game. So I was just like,
well, I think you have to haggle before getting in the taxi, right?
I was just disappointed. I thought it would be fun, and it wasn't fun. And then I just gave him what he asked for, and you know,
that's how you haggle, my friend.
I just thought, fuck this. It's not like, it's not like in the movies, you know, like I didn't have that suave.
The situation is a haggling one. That's the problem. You know, you can't go into Dixon's and start haggling.
Well, I feel like in Egypt when we went, every situation was a potential haggle situation, because they're just the way that they work day to day, and I think the way that they treat like tourists, or even what they perceive as tourists. I mean, like we went to like a shopping mall, which was odd. And somebody held the elevator door open for us. We got in, and he's like, "Tip, please." I was like, "What? Really?" And then I didn't even try to haggle with them, because I thought, well, this is pointless, because like we just had the taxi incident. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Here, just like have some money.
I was so pissed off. They put a little bit of chalk on your sleeve or something that you were a chump.
The old chalk on the sleeve trick.
Man, I was annoyed, because I'm not used to it. You know, like I'm not used to.
It's tough.
People asking for tips, like at a restaurant or a bar or whatever. I'm used to, but nowhere else. You know, like
when we went on honeymoon to Bali, it's all haggling out there. but it's also a country where the people of Bali are unbelievably poor.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have these incredibly wealthy hotels slapped down there for tourists from America and a lot from Australia coming out there with all their money. And you go to these little markets and stuff like that, and you can buy, local fabric sort of clothing and things like that. I'm there and I'm haggling because everybody's haggling. But when I do the calculation in my head about how much I'm haggling for, I'm like saying 8p, don't be ridiculous, I'll give you 4p. And then after a while I was like, just give them the fucking money, dickhead. Yeah. So I just paid whatever they asked because I felt so awful that I was haggling about what to me was like pocket change and to them was like a decent take for the day if they make $5, And there would be people running alongside the coach with these huge carved horses that's like a full-sized horse carved from mahogany, and they're like, $1, mister, I'll give it to you for $1. And you're like, nah, maybe 25 cents. So fucking just give them the money, Christ.
I know exactly what you mean. But my cynical brain instantly goes to like, I recognize that mahogany horse. You bought those like in bulk from China, didn't you? And they've got like a warehouse down the road with like 10,000 of them. Do you know what I mean? Shipped in.
You're one of those.
I don't know.
You call them out on their bullshit. You're trying to fix the world when you're on vacation in a
I've
poor
seen
country.
this though, like because I watched this thing about how, because when I was in Rome, there were loads of these people giving up, that bracelet thing we talked about, where they put a little bracelet on you and then sort of, say it's yours, you bought it, and it's
and they hold on to you as well. They're like, okay, so €20 now, right? You're like, for a bracelet, and they're like, yeah, €20 as they like grip onto your wrist even harder, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm.
But it's this whole.
I'm giving this guy
€20
€20 now, like,
right? It's not just one poor guy living in a shack in Rome. It's literally a fucking whole. There's the whole warehouse is full of these bracelets, and they training days for these people that they bring in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is how you scam people, and they could go and do the exam and get their certificate for scamming. And do you know what I mean? There's a whole. They've probably got healthcare. They're probably quite well looked after. When they get old and they can't scam anymore, they go into a different scam, like, I don't know, the one where you sit on the floor and pretend you don't have a leg or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole scam train is running, and it's a whole thing, right? So I am on the lookout. I think I've had such a jaded gaze that I see everything through this eye of suspicion. I cannot see like a starving man on the pavement without thinking, which network is this starving man part of? And where's the big fat mafia guy coming along to take his cut behind the scenes?
It's like John Wick? Is that what you think it's like, where Lawrence Fishburne controls all the homeless people?
God knows. I don't know if it's that thought out, but I'm just a little bit like, I'm just sometimes a little bit sus of these things that they're selling, which looks suspiciously like Chinese tat that you can buy on Alibaba for, $1 for 50 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like wholesale. Partly because half the stuff on Amazon is that, you look on Amazon for anything. We've chatted about this before, but, we're being scammed in plain sight. So why couldn't we be scammed behind the scenes? That's what I'm saying. So another interesting piece of news: they are making Expendables 4. I noticed this.
Is this after last week's marathon conversation about JCVD himself?
Yes. So having cast all of his famous action pals, Sly Stallone is getting...
Or not,
apparently he's
according
getting...
to Flax. This guy hasn't been in anything worth watching his entire career.
They're adding... what's his name? Tony Jaa from Ong Bak and some of the other martial arts movies that you probably know what he looks like. He's old now, and therefore he's joining the cast of old men.
He's now
the
become expendable himself.
Yeah.
He's reached that ripe old age.
To me, the Expendables is like those Clint Eastwood movies where he gets to be mean to black people, and that's his whole character.
That's his whole character.
Gran Torino, right?
Right.
This
Wait, wasn't Gran Torino like a? Oh, maybe I haven't seen it actually. Do you know what? I know that Clint Eastwood movies are allegedly pretty good, but I haven't seen any. I haven't seen like The $1 Million Baby or Gran Torino.
Right, Gran Torino is every old white man's fantasy, every old racist white man's fantasy, who wants to go out there and stop those goddamn colored folks from mussing up the neighborhood. That's pretty much the fucking plot of the movie.
Right.
Go ahead and watch it.
I think I'll pass now based on that review.
But don't worry, he's friends with some Latinos, so he's cool. Or I think they might have been Asian, actually. I've only watched the movie once.
Yeah,
either way,
I think he was in the Korean War, right?
Yeah,
so
I seem to remember something about the Korean War in there as well.
So go ahead and watch it, and you tell me, and I know for a fact that Clint Eastwood is incredibly Republican, like entrenched. He did that awful thing where he appeared on stage with an empty chair, which was super embarrassing. The dude is like literally appealing to that gruff old concealed carry Republican white American old dude. That's his whole fucking fantasy. He loves it. He loves it. So if you want that experience, go watch a Clint Eastwood movie. Go for it.
Go ahead. Make his day is what.
So how is this like the Expendables 4?
So the Expendables is the fantasy for these old action stars that they could fight a load of much younger men who were much fitter than them and still kick their ass because, grr, I'm Jason Statham, or grr, I'm Dolph Lundgren and I'm 78. I'm Eric Roberts and I'm 104. I'm Steve Austin and I'm 307 years old. But I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. It's just fantasy. It's just old man fantasy, and I wish people wouldn't fucking whack off to it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess also
find something else to whack off to, for Christ's sake.
We like watching. It's a thing that people have. It's just you just have this. You like watching the same thing but different. And people have been watching Dolph Lundgren, Jason Statham, Wesley Snipes, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford punch younger men in the face for the last 30 years, and we like it.
Why would that change? Why would they no longer be capable of doing that? Because they're fucking old. Let's get some new youngsters in here.
I haven't watched an action film in forever. Like I don't seek them out. I didn't even know like what. I guess John Wick is like probably the new big sort of action franchise, and I guess superhero stuff like the Marvel universe or whatever.
Right.
You know, like Die Hard. Like I used to like Die Hard and like whatever Predator, Commando, like all like the big 80s action movies. Like when I was a kid, I thought they were awesome. But like as an adult, I don't think I watch any action movies. Like I can't remember the last time I saw one.
I feel like
I would never like seek them out. Like if there's one coming out in like I'm not going to see the Expendables. I haven't seen any of the Expendables. Like
okay.
I feel like
do you want us to stop talking about it?
No, I'm just like
because we were literally about to start talking about it and you jumped in to tell us.
No, it's just
hold on a sec.
It's just
I don't watch any of these.
No,
just
because Lewis is saying
we could save it. We don't do spoilers, Sip, so you can.
No, it's fine.
We're not gonna ruin
just
it
because
for
Lewis
you.
was saying that people just watch what they're used to and what they want to watch and stuff. But I'm just saying that's not me. Like I did used to like it, but I wouldn't seek it out now. I wouldn't watch it now. Like I don't find any comfort in watching it or any like interest in watching it or whatever. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone or whatever. I'm just saying I just don't watch that stuff. You know, like I just wouldn't I wouldn't want to watch it.
Well,
Like,
but that's the thing. Maybe you don't know you're watching it because think about this, right? James Bond, elderly man beating up young men.
Well, I don't
right?
you don't even watch those though. That's the thing.
They
like,
replaced James Bond when he gets too old. If it was still Connery up until the end or whatever, I'd understand if they were
they
like,
gotta get
"Fucking
Roger
hell."
Moore back, just for one more, right? He's still alive, isn't he? Or did he die?
No, he's dead as well, didn't he?
He's fucking dead too. Shit. What about
Yeah,
that
he
one
died
on Her
aged
Majesty's Secret Service? He was pretty young. Like he's probably still around. Get him in for his second ever.
Timothy Dalton?
No, not Timothy Dalton. He was the only Bond that was wait.
He did one film.
He did one film, yeah.
Oh, fuck me. Why can't I? George Lazenby.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
He's not, man.
I mean, the only picture on Wikipedia is black and white.
He's alive.
He's 82.
Okay.
There you go. Get him in. Get him in
Get
for
that
a
Aussie
second
bludger
one.
in there.
Get him in for a second one.
Why haven't they asked him into the Expendables? He could be like the British retired Secret Service agent they bring in. Fuck, that would be great. Someone gets Sylvester Stallone on the line.
He was in a film, and he was in a film in 2021.
There you go.
How about
Well,
that?
yeah, they keep going, these guys, till they fucking
Well, I mean,
completely crap
Jean-Claude
out.
Van Damme's set to be in a movie in 2022, so I mean, he's already way better than that guy who was only Bond once.
I do want to point out that George Lazenby has some gaps in his career.
Yeah.
One of them, 2003, a well-named movie, Winter Break. That Winter Break lasted 11 years.
Yeah, maybe he was doing time. You never know, right?
Doing time.
Maybe he
He
got
was doing
banged
some
up.
hard time with the family.
Yeah, maybe
That's what they
just
call
like,
it.
you know,
Doing time.
He surfaced in that film and the feds caught up with him, you know. He was on he was a fugitive, and they caught up with him, and then he had to serve his time. You know, he did the crime, served the time.
He was on an episode of Celebrity Squares. That's interesting. Which is in 1975.
Yeah,
it's a British comedy game show based on Hollywood Squares.
Right.
Wow, fascinating.
Interesting.
Hosted by Bob Monkhouse, also dead. Why don't they get Bob Monkhouse on the Expendables? Any Bob Monkhouse fans
He's
out
dead.
there? He's dead, yeah. Well, that doesn't stop any of the rest of them appearing on the film.
Wait, who's dead that appears in the film?
The entire cast. That's what you don't know.
They're not dead though.
They're all CGI. Dude.
No,
every
come
single one
on.
of them.
What are you talking about?
It's all culled from previous
It's going to
films.
happen.
That,
The Expendables, they can keep making them.
Dolph
5, 6,
Lundgren
7,
was in.
8. You know, hundreds of years from now, they'll be making the Expendables 10.
Why do you think Dolph Lundgren has one recurring line in the Expendables series? I must break you. That's it. That's all he says.
Is that what? Was that his line from Rocky? Whatever.
Rocky 4.
Yeah.
They just copy pasted it from the previous movie.
I must break you. And that's all he says in the Expendables series. Hey, Dolph, do you want a drink? I must break you. Why does he always just say that? Is he always standing with the same angle, same lighting?
He's got to say it with a different tone to convey urgency for the things that he wants and needs done.
He's like Groot. He's essentially Groot.
I must break you! Oh, I think he needs to go to the
Dolph
bathroom.
Lundgren. I'm
Maybe
Dolph
he's
Lundgren.
breaking open one of those bottles that has to, the snap neck thing,
Yeah,
those
they
weird ones?
carefully work it in so that I must break you is contextually appropriate for everything he's going to do. He's got a Kit Kat. Dolph, you going to eat that Kit Kat? I must break you.
Breaks it off. Yeah. That's how you do it.
Oh, fuck, my balls and groin area are so itchy and unkempt. What should I do?
Well, I got a solution for you, Chris. Grab yourself a Manscaped ball sculptor and go to town. Like someone who's just been released from prison and has realized that their hairy ballsack is no longer welcome in polite society. Get trimming, get sculpting, get scaping with
Manscaped. There is the Performance Package 4.0. You can go to manscaped.com/Triforce to get 20% off and free shipping. That's manscaped.com/Triforce.
Boom.
They throw 2 free gifts into their Performance Package 4.0. Some boxers, a little travel bag. It comes with some nice pants. You can pick your size.
Nice.
And it's safe. I use it, and I've never cut myself.
Oh, good.
I trim my ears.
You never slit your balls before by accident?
I haven't. We're not using the lawnmower 4.0.
No ball slits.
I've not cut my ball sack open like those inferior brands. Don't just slice and dice down there like you're chopping a cucumber.
I used to use a cheese grater, and now, thanks to Manscaped's products, I will no longer grate my balls.
Don't get blood all over your towels, for God's sake.
I used to use a chemical solution on my balls.
I used to use fire. Man's oldest foe.
I nared my balls.
Well, you can save your balls from these terrible threats with Manscaped's patented solution. Manscaped.com/Triforce. 20% off plus free shipping. Thank you.
I nared my asshole.
That is enough of that.
Come on, leave that in.
Leave that in.
So the Expendables are... So Dolph Lundgren is an expendable, even though I wouldn't say that he was like a staple of 80s action, really. Like he was in a couple
he was in a Rocky movie with Stallone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
wasn't
needs
he
to
the
just be
bad
old
guy in a
enough.
Seagal movie as well? But Seagal isn't an expendable, right? Because I think... Because
he's
a
obviously
tool.
Sylvester Stallone doesn't like him.
Yeah, and neither does Jean-Claude Van Damme because of the ass-kicking
you have to be mates
allegations.
with Sylvester Stallone to get into these movies.
Right, okay,
yeah.
so if you're a good friend with Sylvester Stallone and you were somewhat...
and you're over 70.
You were somewhat of a big deal in the 80s doing action
Then
movies.
you're in, yeah.
So Bruce Willis is in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it. Who else?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
He was in the last one.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson was only in the Lethal Weapon movies. Oh, I guess he was in Mad Max as well, right? But
And
Mad Max wasn't...
Braveheart and The Patriot.
Oh, yeah,
and he did quite a few
Those
action
are
movies.
more 90s movies, though, right?
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? Is that these were old movies with old men beating up young men. That's the whole point.
Apparently 50 Cent's
guess
going to
so,
be in this one.
50 Cent's is an expendable now.
Yeah, and Megan Fox as well is going to be in
Megan
it.
Fox.
So, yeah.
And I guess she was in what, Transformers? The Transformers movies?
She's 35 now, so by Hollywood standards,
She's
she
35.
is expendable. Yeah,
Oh,
she's now
right, okay.
expendable.
She is expendable.
Too old.
And she's still within kissing range of these 80-year-old guys
Exactly
as well, right?
right.
They want to have a good 30-year buffer between the people that they're making out with.
Yeah,
the 30-year cushion.
30
they
to
got to-
40-year cushion.
They don't want to be kissing James fucking Judi Dench or anyone, any old woman, their
any
age,
wrinkly old.
they don't want. Yeah, they don't want to kiss their grandma. I mean, these guys can still pull. They want to date 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, or at a push, I guess, reluctantly, 35-year-old Megan Fox, even though she's getting a little bit old now. Like,
35. Geez, I don't know.
Her sell-by date,
Sly, are you sure you want her in there? 35.
Man, oh man. I wonder if women actually find 80-year-olds attractive, like, or is it just like based on their stature or whatever?
I think it's to do with money
and perceived power and stuff like that.
I think there's like sometimes you hear about these very small percentage of women who actually do prefer older gentlemen.
Believe me, I've been looking for him for a long time.
Man, men are so fucking basic in that sense, though, right? You never, like, it's really rare that you would see a young guy dating a really old, like an 80-year-old woman.
It's
for
rare.
example.
For
it's super
money.
rare.
Yeah,
and then if it does
rarely.
happen, it's considered highly creepy as well, right?
But
Whereas,
that
You know what?
said,
Okay, go on.
you know, a lot of women would probably date Jeff Goldblum, and he's getting on. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he only had a baby relatively recently. He's 68, and he had I think he had a baby 5 years ago.
he's 1
Yeah.
year off.
He
Nice.
is also,
Just
dare
1
I
year
say it, a very wealthy and famous man. I think
I
it's
know.
hard.
He
Like,
is, yeah.
what I want to see is a not wealthy man who's 70, just your average pensioner with a 23-year-old model as a
Yeah,
girlfriend.
get fucking
Then-
Captain Tom with
get Captain Tom with Megan Fox.
I know,
Then, now
poor
you're
guy
talking.
passed away, but geez, let's
Yeah.
get Captain Tom some ass, you know.
Some punani. I was reading
know?
an article about sugar daddying or sugaring and how popular that is nowadays, and you'll find articles about this.
Where would I, just so I don't see it?
I can't remember where I read
it.
it. I can't remember where I read
Okay.
it. But either way, it might have been on The Guardian, but it was an interview with a whole bunch of these young women, a lot of them students or just, they've just graduated or whatever. And do you remember, I think we talked about this previously about maybe we considered it too spicy for Triforce. I can't remember. But
What?
it's about Instagram women, models, if you like, that you'll see sometimes on Instagram. And they're posting pictures in their gaming chair, then they're in their living room, and then suddenly they're on a fabulous beach somewhere on a yacht.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh. And they don't mention owning a yacht. And the deal is that wealthy men can hire women as a sort of sugar daddy thing. There are very popular websites where this is a thing. You go ahead and look this up if you don't believe me. I'm telling you. You go and look it up, and basically you can advertise yourself as, I think they're called kittens or something. I can't remember what they call themselves. But basically, the baby, I think it's the baby, is the woman's role. And the man is the sugar daddy. And you say, I'm the sugar daddy. Here's all my money. This is what I can offer you. And they say, cool, my rate is X. And you go out there. I know people who've done this. I know both sides, the daddy and the baby or whatever they call the woman. And they basically pay them 10, 20, 30 grand a week. Sex is a part of the deal, certain number of times, blah, blah, blah. And you get to take a hot young woman away on holiday with you and have sex with her. And she, in return, gets a load of money and posts pictures on Instagram.
It's just prostitution, isn't it? Really?
It is essentially, yes, it's sex work. Of course it's sex work. But these women have absolutely no respect for these men, very understandably, and they say they're disgusting, they're very stupid and simple, and it's an easy way to make money. Why wouldn't I do this? And I say, fucking go for it. Yeah, absolutely. If you can take thousands and thousands
so they're
and thousands
taking
of pounds,
advantage of the old. It's clever that they think they're the ones taking advantage of these old men.
They are.
You know?
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's
and fair
such a
play
weird
to
one.
them.
It's
Why
such
wouldn't
a-
you do that? That we don't have that option as men. I honestly don't think women would be that fucking stupid to just think, oh, I'll hire this beautiful girl, but that's what they do. And I mean, I've seen this happen where these guys think, oh, this is a relationship now, and yeah, she's my girlfriend, and then in her mind, she's like, I'm not your fucking girlfriend. You're just paying me a load of money to sit here and occasionally suck your dick. I mean, that some marriages are built off that. Jerry Hall and what's his name, the Rupert Murdoch. You telling me that's love? Fuck off. I bet she gets paid a big load of money and she has to suck his dick once a week. Job done.
That's like that's
Maybe
the
he
only
just
clause.
makes him. Maybe he just makes
I'm
him watch
serious.
the news with her. It's like, this is my news.
Jerry, you're not going to bloody cheat on me. And I want once a week, I want the pipes cleaned. You know what I'm saying, sweetheart? Yeah, same arrangement with Mick. Fine.
It's weird though. You never see like you never see like an 85-year-old woman walking down the street with like some young hot Asian man. You know what I mean? But like on the flip side, like more and more now.
You would if they were if we were living in a matriarchy, though, in the other way around. You know, if men didn't run all the companies and have such power, you know. I mean, the female CEOs still only make up like a small percent, you know. But I think it'll turn around. I think we'd see it a lot more if, you know, there were more, you know, fair and more equality in our society. What I'm saying is, date old women, you know. Basically, go for it. You know, they need it. We need to level the playing field. If you're a young man and you're thinking, damn, I'm lonely, just date up. You know, there's loads of old ladies who are
old
looking
farts,
for a sugar
you were
baby.
Say. Old farts. Loads of single old farts out there. Who dare you?
You can't call an older lady an old fart, though, right?
I know, and I
didn't
know.
He was going to.
I thought it, and I almost
You were going
said
to call
it.
an old lady an old fart? That's kind of rude,
That's
actually.
my mum you're talking about.
Yeah,
I call old men old farts. Why not? It's fine.
Well, it's fine. I think it's fine to call an old man an old fart, though.
Anyway, I think one of the issues would be, dare I say it, when it comes to having sex with someone for money, forgive me for saying this, but when it comes down to the simple mechanics of it, that young dude's still got to get a boner to fuck a granny. That's going to be tough.
There's over-the-counter medication for that.
There
nowadays.
is.
How long can you live that life? You'd be waking up at 3 a.m. with a boner still, just going, what am I doing? And there's this old lady sleeping next to you, like that, her teeth in a glass next to the bed.
Yeah.
And you just got a pocket full of pills and a boner. You know, that's not a life. I think
but
at
you're
that
looking
point,
on your phone at all your money in your bank account. Do you know what I mean? You don't care. You're taking advantage of that old biddy.
If you had to sleep with an old woman or an old man, though, I would take an
old woman.
I'd take an old woman any day of the week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck an old man. What are you
fucking
talking
gross,
about?
man. Like,
I see what you're saying.
Well, but some old men are. You know, I think in order to be a sugar daddy, you probably have to go through like a certification training in like a scammy warehouse somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And actually, you know, make sure you, I don't know, go to the dentist and get your hair done and whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like these old men, like they're not Toby Jug hoarding weirdos in a creepy basement, you know, it was all dingy. They're all rich and fucking the sugar daddy. You have to have a certain qualification. You have to show you've got like, I don't know, a Chevrolet or whatever, you know.
One of those fancy cars like a Chevrolet.
I don't know, an old one, a fancy looking old open, what am I thinking of?
Yeah.
The old men aren't driving Lambos.
Yes,
they're driving classic.
They are.
No, they're turning up in one of those Morris Minors, just with the open top.
Oh, you're talking about actual old men, or are you talking about sugar daddy old men? Because if you go on a sugar daddy website and you advertise yourself as a sugar daddy and you're driving a Morris Minor, good fucking luck. Fucking luck getting a hookup, buddy. I'm telling you what, you better be very dashing or incredibly wealthy and just eccentric.
Well, yeah, but exactly. You just don't have to.
Here's what I've got for all the sugar babies out there who want a sugar daddy. I've got my Morris Minor here. Here's my bungalow. It's
this fucking world that we live in, honestly.
It's only about half an hour from the sea. It's very, very nice. As you can see in the front garden, it's got a bit of grass and old water in it. I do have a very small boat. I used to use it when I was a much younger man. I haven't used it in about 30 years. You can see it decaying in the front garden here.
I'm a
widower, and I'm looking to party. Let's go.
I've seen. I saw this screenshot of a text conversation on a phone, like relating to Tinder, and it was this guy. I guess this girl said like, I woke up this morning and this was on my phone, and it was a guy texting her, but basically just having this really weird conversation with himself because she was asleep and not responding. But so the whole thing was just like, hey, how you doing? Like, what's new? Like, it starts off like pretty innocent, like, what are you doing on here, sort of thing, and then it's like he's like, oh, it'd be great to get together sometime, and like, I could just like eat you out or whatever, but like you don't have to do anything in return. It's cool, it's fine. Like, I'd just eat you out. Like, it progresses to like, even if another guy just like finished in you or whatever, I would just eat you out right after, no problem. Like, if you want to, just let me know. It's like, what the fuck?
He's just working himself into it.
It's just, yeah, it's like
to a frenzy.
Man, like it's like a very specific thing. But
that's like sexting yourself. Do you know what I mean?
It's so fucking odd, man. Like, I just don't. I can't ever imagine having that conversation, and like it's just so weird to see it out in the world.
It is.
Like Somebody woke up and checked their phone, and all that was on it. Like, come on, it's fucking crazy.
Do you think part of the fantasy for these men is that they're sending this fantasy directly to the woman?
Exactly.
Which must be what gets them off. It's like flashing almost. It's flashing.
Yeah,
it's like sending a dick pic.
I don't get it. I just don't understand. Like,
but do you think in the back of their mind? Do you think in the back of their mind they're thinking she might go for it? Like they've honestly, I think part of the fantasy is that you're essentially, like I said, it is digital flashing without, like, dick pics are basically that. Yeah. But I think also this is like sending someone a sexy text, and in very heavy air quotes there around sexy. Okay. It is, they're getting off while writing that, but there must be a little part of their tiny ape brain that's saying, there's a chance, even if it's only 0.001%.
There's a chance. If I said this to 100 people, maybe I'll get a good response.
I bet they hate getting spam without realizing that they are themselves walking spam in every way. Well, people they look like spam and they send spam.
Most people, as you know, go through life, and us included, just thinking they're the center of the universe and they're the only person in the world, and other people don't matter. And certainly on the internet, when you have sort of a feeling of anonymity.
Yep. Good effort.
I can handle that word. You just do whatever, you just go for it, and you don't think about the consequences of the people you've disgusted, waking up to your gross, wrinkly old man dick and a picture of your Morris Minor.
That's what I call my wrinkly old man dick.
Fuck's sake.
Jeez.
I get the thing that's craziest to me is the ego of men, right? Especially like when they're old, or even approaching old age or whatever. Like where do you fucking get off thinking that a young person like it finds you attractive or anything, right? If you're like 75 years old, like how the fuck does that work in your mind? Like I don't know how they formulate this. You know what I mean? Like I'm 41 and I'm sure nobody pays any attention to me. Like like I'm not even as old as them. Like I when I'm their age, I'm just gonna like grumpily kick a can down the road, knowing that nobody gives a fuck about me. Like. How have they gotten to the point where they think that they're still like, John Travolta Saturday Night, like Fever, with the fucking their shirt unbuttoned and stuff? We've
answered this question on this podcast.
Have we?
Think back.
I'm thinking.
We spoke about in Hollywood, it's always a big old age gap between the man and the woman.
Oh, sure, I know.
So I think that gets implanted.
What I mean is just your everyday
but
person,
that's the point,
right?
Is you're saying, where does that come from? I think that fantasy is born out for
it's a
films.
Fantasy, I see.
And it's that could be me.
Oh, shit. So you're saying that because the standard age gap that we see in Hollywood is about 30 years.
Right.
Sips, you need to be 10 years older, right? Because otherwise, if you currently tried to date some hot young thing, they'd be 10, So you have to wait 10 years, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. It's weird now. You're not old enough to be an old man. You think you're an old man. You're not.
No, I don't think I'm an old man. I'm saying that like I'm realistically preparing to be an old man already.
With realism and common sense as part of that. But maybe when we're old men, we'll think the same way. I don't think we will, but it has been the case in movies and stuff that these older men are always bagging younger women. If Hollywood teaches you
that it's okay, then that's unfortunately that's how people behave, and that's how we get into so much trouble with these celebrities just doing stupid stuff because they think it's all right, they think like and so I think you have to. It's like people fighting people in court or something, or doing these things, or feeling like they're somehow justified because they've seen it on the telly and they feel like that's how they're supposed to behave. And then they end up getting arrested, for trying to fight the person who's being sentenced in court or whatever, and they end up doing prison, and they're like, what's going on? He used to go who killed my mum or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But you saw it on telly, you thought it was okay to get all crazy, and it's not. I think that we're constantly unaware of the lessons that we're learning from TV, and they're sometimes very naive.
I watched just before we move on to other news and talking about TV and lessons learned on TV and stuff. I watched some old footage from 1969 of Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, legend.
Speaking to the U.S.
That's
Senate.
such a good clip.
Yeah, trying to save PBS, the public broadcasting system, from his local area, which was where his show was aired. But they made some money off other networks picking up the show and broadcasting it as well. But he did this sort of it was a passionate speech, but I think he was just a very passionate guy around the things that he believed in and stuff anyway. And he was saying that he was worried that kids were watching and getting things from TV that were not good and not meant for them. They were seeing gunfights on TV. They were seeing drama, aggressive drama and stuff like that. And he was sort of making the point that his show can provide drama, but where children can realize that they have feelings and then use those feelings to then turn into the men and women of the future and stuff.
Right.
And the start of his speech, basically you could tell that this senator that was listening to him was just like, this guy seems like a chump. I'm just gonna drag him over the hot coals here. I'm just gonna let him have his 2 minutes and then dismantle him. Went from that to then becoming like a firm convert. And he's like, I'm going to give you $20 million for the network.
It was
it's really
wonderful.
Fucking good, man.
He did like a full 180.
You can't believe it's real.
But apparently an interesting thing about this clip is that it goes viral every once in a while. And more recently, it's gone viral twice when Mitt Romney tried to take away funding from PBS, and there was a big backlash, and then beyond him as well, Trump tried to do the same thing, and there was a big backlash once again as well. And that clip goes viral every time it happens because some people just remember how important it is for shows like Mr. Rogers to still be a thing and to be broadcasted.
And listen, you don't fuck with Mr. Rogers.
You cannot fuck with Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers also, and I hope that this isn't one of those things that you say that age is like milk eventually or whatever, but he's one of the only people I can think of that had a full career to do with children's mental health, children's well-being, made shows for children that wasn't mired in any sort of controversy whatsoever. They
never found like a Fritzl dungeon.
No, they never found a dungeon or some weird allegations or anything. He was always, as far as anybody could tell, just a good person with like a very genuine.
It's incredibly sad that we have to mention that now because it seems like
so many people that like my parents will have remembered from being a kid, or even we would remember from being a kid, who have then turned out to just be total creeps.
Well, this is an exact example, though, of our perception from what we get in media and TV, that anyone who's a man who works with children is somehow a creep, because that's just how it is, right? Whereas actually 99.99% of male teachers are not creeps, I'm sure. And as a result, it's like, we get this delusion. It's like why plane crashes are much more scary. Lots of people won't take planes because they're scared of them crashing, whereas actually it's an exciting event, but air travel is the safest way to travel. And so we get this false sense of reality from Hollywood. And it's dangerous to fall into the trap. And also we should be aware of it. And so that's why maybe we need to sue the Queen's Gambit and make sure they're paying attention to what they're doing. Good on you, Nonya Gaprindas-Dashvili.
I love
good
that.
For you.
You did that really well.
What a loop.
I know.
We were working up to this moment the whole podcast. You didn't realize it. The whole thing is mapped out
Now your
carefully.
mind has exploded into millions.
We need to hold them to account, especially now Netflix have bought all of Roald Dahl's books, which are mental.
I saw that.
By the way,
they bought the whole
It'll
shebang.
be interesting to see what they do with that. Anyway, that is this week. Thank you for listening, everyone. It's been wonderful to have you joining us. And we will see you all next week. Be safe, love one another, be good to each other. All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.